welcome to another edition of Strategic Moves with Lou. I'm Mike Hendren. I'm a licensed real estate agent here in Wichita Falls, Texas with Strategic Realty. And seated next to me is Lou Italis, the owner-broker of Strategic Realty. That's the name of the show. How you doing? Got a busy week, hadn't you?
Oh, my gosh.
Man,
It has
tell
been
you what.
crazy.
Crazy, and it's more, I'm trying not to look like a drowned rat. It's pouring down rain the day that we're doing this.
I was afraid I was going to, melt out there.
There were a couple of places on the drive over here
Yeah.
that the water,
It got really, really flooded.
it did. It's
quickly.
moving really fast. Well, we have, and you see this all over the city. You know, when it rains really, really, you got rain coming down. You know, probably 4 or 5 inches a minute coming down like that, and the gutters, the drainage cannot handle the volume of water that's falling. And so it backs up, and you end up with minor street flooding. And Kent Boulevard is really bad in 2 or 3 places about minor street flooding, and it's and people won't slow down.
With all the construction that they've been doing, you think they would have figured that out by now?
Well, there's still a lot of things that I don't know if some of those gutters you can make them deep enough to carry all the water off. Maybe you can't, but I do know that there's been a long-standing issue with drainage in certain areas of town. Now, some places they fixed, like around McNeil Boulevard, they did a pretty good job with that. You see the construction that happened along Southwest Parkway where they closed off that ugly canal along Southwest Parkway, and they finally got that closed in. And they did deepen that, I think, a little bit and widen it out a little bit so it can carry a little more volume. But still other places around town that have been problematic for decades.
Ray Road was pretty nasty.
Ray Road can be pretty bad. Yeah, it can. And it's like everything else. It takes money and time. And it's more an issue of money than it is time.
And good labor.
Well, and good labor. But
That's the thing that's hard to find nowadays.
And right now, though, it's the cost of doing these projects. The last time I asked about it, Wichita Falls had roughly $110 million in infrastructure projects that needed to be done.
That's a word that kind of doesn't work very well with the lips.
No, it's
infrastructure.
$110 million in projects that needed, like stuff that needs to be done now. Streets, sewers, water mains, and that number is a few years old now. That number is probably, I'll bet it's closer to $200 million now with inflation and additional.
We need an Elon Musk.
We need something. We need an Elon Musk, or we need to just get it done. And it's one of those things where the city doesn't have that much money lying around to do all that stuff with. So then you go to the taxpayers with a bond issue, and the taxpayers look at you and go, no, we're not doing that. City of Burke Burnett is a prime example. This last election, they had, I think, 6 or 7 bond initiatives they were trying to get passed, and they were all streets related. They were all road project related, all infrastructure related. They're all streets and roads. One of them being Roller Road, which is in really bad shape. And there's some beautiful homes on Roller Road. Lots of construction on Roller Road in the last 3-4 years. And the road is horrible, and especially when it rains like this, and you've got.
Is it still asphalt, or do they do it concrete?
It's been blacktopped, but it's in really bad shape. It's got a lot of potholes. It's rough. It's narrow. At times 2 vehicles cannot pass each other in certain parts of the road. It needs a lot of work. It needs to be widened. It needs to be curbed and guttered. It needs to be done properly. Well, that was one of the initiatives, the bond initiatives they tried to get passed. Every single one of them failed by at least 72%.
Yeah, because nobody can afford. And right now at this point.
Oh, it's hard.
It's.
How do you go to the taxpayers and go, we want you to put up $100 million or $50 million or $20 million or whatever the total worked out to be? Theirs was a lot lower. It's probably $23 million. How do you ask them to put all that money up?
When your taxes are already really high, your gas is really, really high. Yeah. Interest rates are really high.
Yeah.
Food is going up. Materials in general are going up. So what sense does it make right now? It's almost like we need to just, chill and wait for a little bit until the market, or not the market, the
Inflation.
economy corrects itself.
Well, I think,
because
there's.
eventually it's going to.
Oh, sure it will. I mean, eventually the inflation will retreat, the prices will retreat. I've been saying this.
Or maybe not retreat so much as stabilize, because right now everything is so freaking up and down and up and down, and it keeps going up and up. And so we needed to stabilize in order for people to start making plans for the future.
Oh, you will see gas under $3 a gallon again. Now, it may be 2 years. It may be 3 years. It may be 6 months. I don't know. But you will see it under $3 a gallon again. At some point, you will. You will see food prices
awesome if it
fall back down again.
Below $1.
It would.
So nice.
Well, it would be nice for the
almost
consumer.
Was there.
It'd be nice for the consumer. But here's the thing: the last time oil gas prices were below $1 in this country, the price of a barrel of oil was about $28 or $30 a barrel. As a producer, you cannot make any money. You are losing money. So then production gets shut down. Well, then what happens? You end up with
higher gas
shortages in supply, and prices go up. The bottom line is this: market fundamentals are market fundamentals. They don't change. I don't care what the government does. I don't care what you do. I don't care what I do. It doesn't matter. The fundamentals are the fundamentals, and they don't change. The rules don't change. Economics 101.
Because I just can't see.
Period.
I just can't see that this is sustainable in the long term.
It's not.
It's just.
It's not.
People are hurting out there, and it's not, and it's just not necessary. It feels so unnecessary.
Well, and all of this has a direct impact on our industry in real estate.
It does.
It all does. So I'm looking at some of the stats here right now, as of the day that we're doing this particular recording, which is June the 3rd. Home prices nationally up 20.6% over March 2021. That's on a national scale.
I believe it.
We're not up 20% here, I don't think.
I think we are.
You think we are? I don't know. I didn't feel like it was quite that much here. You think 20 from March of last year to now, in 1 year period, 20% increase here.
I feel like we've increased. I mean, just think about it this way. My house, okay, so the one that I sold on Reginald Drive, he bought it for $140,000. He just sold it for $230,000.
Wow. Okay.
That's more than 20%.
Well, that is more than 20%. Okay, well, maybe so.
He did make some upgrades to it. So he did, when he bought it at $140,000, and this was 2 years ago that he bought it at $140,000.
Yeah.
It was dated, and it was older, and it was probably a little bit below market, but it wasn't a lot below market.
Okay.
Like I paid in the same neighborhood, I paid $125,000 for mine 10 years ago. Yeah. And he paid $140,000 for his 6 years ago.
Okay. And you could probably sell yours for at least what, $270,000, $280,000 now?
Probably, because I've got a pool.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So now,
if not 300, somewhere around there.
The average rate on a 30-year mortgage, January 1 of this year, not last year, this year, was 3.29%. That was the average on January 1 on a 30-year. March 31, 4.67%.
So more than 1%, more than 20%.
Almost 1.5 percentage points.
So
above where we were in January.
More than what it was before.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking. That's
40%. I think
and we're seeing mortgages in the 5 to 6% range now, routinely.
Yep.
That's become the new normal for that.
On an FHA or a VA.
Yeah. Yeah.
On conventional, it's probably a little bit higher than that.
Yep. And will that fall back again? Well, I don't think we're going back to 3%. I don't feel like we'll go back to that. We might, but I don't know. I think we all got a little spoiled with this 2.5%, 3%, 3.25%, 3.5%.
If our economy starts to improve the way that it was, in between 2016 and 20, well, 16 and 19.
Yeah.
Before pre-COVID.
Oh. Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're still suffering because of that. So, you know.
Well, and here's the thing: we had inventory issues,
and I think
before
that
COVID.
people are starting to make a lot of strides for it. I mean, look at what Elon Musk is just doing. He's making it to where everybody's coming back to work.
Oh yeah, he sent out a tweet.
Yeah.
This past
no more
week.
Working from home.
Yeah.
So we're getting, I think that that's necessary, though. I think that we need to stop being so lazy. We need to get off our patooties and get back to work.
He said that someone asked him, what about those that still feel like they're afraid to be in the office or whatever? He said, I think they need to go. They need to go pretend somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In other words, you ain't gonna work for me.
Yeah.
You're not gonna work for Tesla. You're not gonna work for Space or whatever his other company is. You're not gonna work for me. You're gonna work somewhere else. So, and I think that attitude is going to become the prevailing attitude. We got to get people back to actual work. Mm-hmm. There's only so much you can do remotely. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do remotely. There's a lot of jobs that don't necessarily require a 12-story office building full of people. Mm-hmm. But there are some things that just make sense to do in an office setting.
Well, I mean, just look at what's happening right now with our supply and demand.
Oh.
And a lot of it might be because we're not getting stuff from overseas like we used to, but it also might be that people just aren't working out there. You know, truck drivers are. You know, there's a need for truck drivers to move supplies from one place to the next. Mm-hmm. There's a need for people on the trains that are moving supplies from one place to the next. There's a need for dock workers that are going to be taking the stuff off the docks. There's a big, you know, I mean, so there's a big, huge need for work right now. And if that gets normalized, if the unemployment or the employment issue gets worked on, then a lot of the other issues are going to kind of fall in line.
At one point, I think within the last 30 days, we had something like 9 million unfilled positions in the United States. Mm-hmm. Just jobs that are just sitting there and no one working in them, mm-hmm. and they can't hire anybody. And
now is a perfect time to get a job because of inflation. Mm-hmm. Employers are having to pay more. So now is a perfect time to get a job. You're going to get paid more than if you would have got more now than you would have gotten 2 years ago.
Well, before,
so go out there and get a job and
get to
move
work
on with your life.
Before COVID ever happened, we had a housing supply issue in nationwide, and I'll just speak to this market specifically. We already had a supply shortage here that was developing rapidly.
Yeah, 2019, yeah.
We had a labor supply shortage that was developing rapidly. We had unemployment here dropped to 2.8%. 2.8%, and that was in January of 20. We were sitting at 2.8% unemployment here, which basically means we were as close to full employment in our job market as we were going to get.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Anything below 3%, they consider you to be basically
healthy.
At full employment.
Yeah, that's why a lot of industry doesn't come up here, is because our employment is so freaking awesome.
You see, we can't attract the companies that need to hire 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Because we don't have 1,000 people to go to work.
Yeah.
We don't have the bodies. You know, we've got the land, we got the space, we got places to build, we got everything else we need. We just don't have the people.
Yeah.
And so it's, you know, we're still seeing prices continuing to climb on housing and rentals too. Rentals are going up. You know, you can't rent an apartment for what you would have rented an apartment for 4 years ago or 3 years ago. Prices are continuing to climb because inventory stands so dadgum low. We don't have enough people selling houses. We don't have enough apartments being built. Now, Will Kelty, this for our local audiences, that's the man that owns Big Blue downtown. He's an investor from California who's bought a number of properties in downtown Wichita Falls and been rehabbing them. He recently got approved for the funds to take out the loan to do a $16 million renovation to Crescent Plaza, which is in downtown Wichita Falls on Scott Avenue, right across from Big Blue. Again, for those of you locally, that's the building where Highlander Public House is located on the first floor. So you got 9 floors of old hotel rooms above that. Those are going to be renovated. The first 3 or 4 floors are going to be dorms for MSU students. and then everything above that is going to be apartment living for people who want to live in downtown
nice.
Wichita Falls. So this is going to end up being a 130, 40 unit building.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
In a few, that's going to take a few years to get it done. Everything in this building's got to be replaced. All of the HVAC, all of the electrical, all the plumbing.
Asbestos in there is probably a nightmare.
Oh, this thing's been sitting empty for years. Okay, and there hasn't even been a hotel in it. So it's going to have a tremendous amount of renovation done to it. It's going to be a couple of years, at least maybe 4, before it's really ready to move into it. We talked about the supply chain issues you mentioned a moment ago. A lot of that plays into that. How quickly you can get something done. We've had delays in new construction homes because of supply chain issues. You can't find enough brick. You can't find enough this. You can't find enough that.
Yeah.
I've even heard stories recently, within the last couple of weeks, in some markets, 2x4s. They got shortages of 2x. How do you run out of 2x4s?
Clearly, we know how to do it.
We know how to make this stuff. Here's what happened. This is real easy to explain. How did we get here? So March 2019, the government starts shutting people down because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
You stop making, this is worldwide. World governments did this. You shut down production all over the world. Well, what happens when you shut down production? Well, all those warehouses full of stuff are no longer getting replenished.
Yeah.
So now you got
not
people
moved either.
Oh, you got people sitting at home, not working, but they're still getting paid. It
was damned if you did and damned if you didn't.
Well, what's everybody doing? They're sitting home. They're on Amazon.
I don't think that we can really blame any one entity for the shutdown or even shutting down, because it was like damned if he didn't and damned if he did.
Well, but here's the thing, though.
We needed to shut it down. We needed a reset, but it needed to come back quicker than it did.
It needed to, and some of it still hasn't come back to even 50% of what it was. Here's the problem. You got all these warehouses full of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
People are sitting at home buying all this stuff. They're ordering bicycles, and they're ordering computers, and they're ordering cars, and they're ordering whatever it is they're buying online. Well, what happens? You start to deplete all your inventory, but no one's working. No one's making more of the stuff. And so you run out of warehoused goods and parts and computer chips and whatever. You run out of all this stuff. Well, then all of a sudden you decide, okay, we got to get back to work. And it has taken months to ramp everybody back up to where they were. Some industries still aren't even back to even 50% of where they were. So we're still trying to catch up with back orders. We cannot get supplies built back up quickly enough. And again, economics 101 here. Supply and demand. High demand, low supply, prices go up. It is what it is. And it's going to stay this way until you can get the supply chain replenished to a point that we're going to have to be at least, I think, 85, 90% of where we were in 2019 to really see the supply level come to a point that it starts to push those prices back down again. You got to find some equilibrium between demand and price, and you do that on the supply side.
You know what's, I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit cynical or jaded about it, but I don't feel like this administration has any incentive to fix anything.
No.
Until the next election cycle.
The
And then the next election cycle, they're going to come up with solutions for the problems to get elected.
Well, and
it's for another 4 years.
It's
almost like I don't listen to anything anybody says anymore.
I know.
I'm just going to take care of my business.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take care of you guys. Yeah. And the rest of it can just suck my butt.
I I know it's a little off our.
I'm not supposed to say that.
I know it's a little off our topic here.
Yeah.
It's a little off our topic here, but the fact of the matter is everyone needs to come to the realization. The more government tries to fix it, the more they hurt it. The best thing they can do, here's what, government doesn't make anything. Government doesn't produce anything. Yeah. Government doesn't create anything.
I think it's going to be up to us at this point to just solve the problem.
Well, yes.
Or maybe not solve the problem, but, something happened. Did it overheat?
Probably.
it been overheating on y'all?
Nope. It's the first time it's done it in a while. All right. Shut it off a minute. It'll automatically save what's there.
Although, I mean, it's still recording over there. It's just I'm gonna have to edit it a little bit.
Screen floor is still recording. Audio is still recording. It's just not capturing the video. So, I mean, we're less than 10 minutes away from being done. So
Yeah.
let's let it rest just a 1 minute here. Let it cool off.
I gave him the fan back, right?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I did.
I don't see it around here anywhere. It's not attached, but I think we're going to have to.
I'm 99% sure I did.
We're going to have to reattach one. No, so the best thing government can do is just get out of industry's way and let it work. And people just need to understand government doesn't create anything, it doesn't make anything. But what they can do is they can help facilitate a climate in which things can happen.
We need to take care of a lot of these things ourselves. You know, I mean, we got to stop relying on the government to solve our problems. They're not going to. So it's going to be incumbent upon us to just continue on with our lives.
It is.
And that's going to mean getting back to work. That's going to mean getting back to our daily routines. And that's going to mean, getting back to just being human.
Doing what we got to do.
Doing what we got to do. Being human. Stop the nonsense.
Now, I'll tell you, though, in spite with rates going up and prices going up, we're still selling houses. We still have buyers out here.
Yep.
We just don't have enough inventory for them. I've got 3 people that I'm actively shopping for right now.
We can find diddly.
And, especially the ones that are looking for acreage and a house and move-in ready, and it's like
updated and many wants.
There's so many wants, and it's like, okay, we're hunting for unicorns now here, okay? You have to get to a point where you have to work with people and go, okay, we're going to be able to get A, but not necessarily B. We might find C, but
you know what you have to do? You have to have them come to a happy compromise. What is the one thing that you can't fix?
Right.
You can fix ugly.
Yes.
If they want land, you can't fix that.
No.
So you got to find them something with land.
It's either available or it's not. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't fix you can fix square footage if you're, buying something with land. You can, there's a lot of things that you can fix on a house. So they have to figure out how they're going to get there.
I know. And I've talked to a couple of people that, they were thinking about selling some property, and
I have a lot of buyers right now that are like, can't you just go knock on their door and see if they will sell me that house? And I'm just like, wow, we're going to start having to have that conversation as realtors.
Yeah.
Because people are going to start wanting us to go out and find
look
them
for it,
a property. It's not going to be like, what's on the market? It's going to be, whose house do you want to buy?
Well, and I tell you, that might work in some situations, but you better be prepared
to drive through a neighborhood and find a house that attracts you, and I'll go knock on their door.
And be prepared to throw down some money. Okay? Don't even think about lowballing them. Don't even think about it, because this is not the time for that. Yeah. It won't work. You got to be prepared to throw down a healthy offer that, one of those.
Yeah, don't try and lowball it. Don't try and get a discount or a military,
Yeah, make it hard for them to say no. Really, almost impossible to say no. But I've talked to a couple of people that are looking at selling property, and they're like, what do you think my property's worth? And I'll ask them, well, what do you think it's worth? What if you were going to sell it right now on your own?
I love that question.
Yeah, what do you think it's worth? And they'll throw a number at me.
To buy? What are you looking to clear out of this house?
And I get one of two answers. I either get an answer that's so up in the stratosphere that there's no way you're ever going to get to that, or they come in and they guess a number that's so low, I look at them and go, don't you dare sell it for that.
Yeah.
Don't you dare sell that property for that price.
Yeah.
You are leaving so much money on the table, it's stupid. Here, and let me explain why. Then we have a conversation, and they go, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I didn't know. And I'm like, yes.
That's the important thing about talking to a realtor.
Exactly.
You just never know what, you might have dollar signs in your eyeballs, or you might be just,
Or the little cent sign.
Yeah. You might just be leaving way too much money on the table.
That's right. See,
dollar signs is a little bit harder for us to communicate to you.
You want this, not this.
I don't think they could see that. I couldn't see it, but I'm blind.
It's a white piece of paper. It's reflective. Anyway, you want you want to get the right price. You want to price it right.
And please don't look at Zillow. Oh my God.
I don't even. I can't. No, I'm not. I can't say what I want to say.
Don't base your price on Zillow.
No.
You really need to talk to a realtor.
You do, and
I cannot emphasize that enough. I'm not trying to. I'm really honestly not trying to. Sell my profession.
Right.
But I am.
Yeah. Well,
because there's just so many people out there that think that they know real estate. And they might. They very well might. I don't know for sure. But it doesn't cost you anything to have a conversation with a realtor. We're not like attorneys. We're not going to charge you an hourly rate just to have a consultation. We're not. That's not what we're trying to do. We're not going to start hounding you to list your property.
That's right.
At least I won't.
We don't engage in high pressure stuff.
We're not going to put you on
that.
a mailing list or anything like that unless you want us to. Then we will.
Yeah.
We're not going to start stalking you or anything like that to sell your property.
Following you around in the grocery store.
Yeah. I'm not going to find you on Twitter and just, bombard you with property stuff.
I had someone in fact, I had someone tell me they were literally stopped in the grocery store by a real estate agent who'd been to their house like 4 times. And
oh, really?
They found them in the grocery store and they were like, why are you doing this?
Oh, no.
Like, I won't do that to you. I will not do that to you.
Yeah, we won't do that to you. I will not do that to you. But talk to a realtor, and you don't have to talk to somebody from in particular, but you really need to talk to somebody from Strategic.
Yeah. Call me.
Call Mike Hendren at strategicrealty.com.
That's right.
Or .net.
.net,
and he will fill you in on the 411 and give you a free cost market analysis. Free CMA. That's what we call it. That's the word. That's the magic word that you need to ask him. And he does that for everybody. We do that all the time. We will give you a snapshot of what the market is in your neighborhood.
That's right.
And it can be a written report, or he can just look it up online really quick, and it takes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You just give him your address, and he can pull up all the comps in your neighborhood and give you an idea of what your property is worth.
Yep, we sure can. We can look at what's happening in your marketplace and tell you, really quick what you're looking at.
Zillow is going to be slightly. Sometimes I've found that Zillow is accurate, and then other times I've found that it is so inaccurate. It's not even funny.
I found 1 or 2 that were so out of line. It's like, this is not even close to realistic.
So I am not relying on Zillow at all. You can't. It's just not reliable, and so you can't take it at face value. So you really need to talk to a real estate agent, because they will be able to pull the comps that directly. You're never going to find apples and apples on a CMA. No. All we're doing is comparing your apples and finding other similar apples.
Yep.
Oops, it went away again.
Yeah, it did. Okay. back on and we'll wrap up.
Mm-hmm.
This one's going to make you work. Edit this one.
Yeah. I need to.
You're going to have 3 different files to work with.
Well, I don't even usually get that file. I just get the one on the computer.
Yeah. But it's going to be.
And just going to have to splice it.
It's going to be broken up, yeah. You'll have to edit it now. Just go ahead and put a tag on it. So definitely give us a call, 940-689-7900 at the office. You visit strategicrealty.net. You can call me directly, Mike Hendren, 940-232-3876. By the way, now even local calls on your cell phone, you have to dial the area code.
Really?
Yeah. They implemented that now. I think that actually started June 1st.
Really?
You call a local number, you got to dial the area code.
Well, I've always had to dial the. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think I've always dialed it anyway. But
Yeah. So 940-232-3876 or 940-689-7900.
oh, okay. You were giving them your phone number. I was like, no, that's not. That didn't sound right.
It's mine. If they won't call me.
Okay,
Well, they can call the office. They can
Yeah.
talk to you, or they can, or whoever
They
answers
need
the
to
phone.
call you.
They
They
call me.
call you.
Yeah, call me. Yes, call me. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for tuning in with us this week. We'll see you next week with another edition of Strategic Moves with Lou. Until then, take care. We'll see you down the road.
Toodles.
Okay.